With that said, let's jump into our first tool. So one of the first tools I promised to teach you about that I think can really help address the focus and the motivation, and address that sense of being busy but not sure that you're making progress. And that is the practice of knowing at any given moment what your priority project is. What is your priority project? So one of the things we do in the Action Circle is that every Monday we ask people to check in and to declare to the group what their priority project is for the week, plus the 2 actions that they most want to commit to taking that week. And the priority project is something we've actually had quite a bit of discussion about in this last cycle. Because when I say a priority project, I want to first underline that word project. So the priority project is not a task. It's not a single action. It's not like, oh, the number one thing I want to do is make sure I return a phone call. It's a project. So what is a project? So I recommend that solo business owners start to train themselves to think in terms of projects, the different projects they want to execute to support the growth and development of their business. So the distinction I want to make here is an action pretty much is just a single thing in isolation. And so often when we have a long to-do list, that's a list of separate actions. So a project to me is a series of coordinated actions that kind of work together to have a multiplying effect. And it's that coordinated series of actions that when executed significantly move your business forward. So that's a priority project, or that's a project as opposed to an action. So in other words, when we start thinking in terms of projects rather than actions, it's almost like we're mentally starting to bundle together lots of actions to see the greater impact or meaning of that collection of actions. So examples of projects might include things like running a promotional campaign, right? A lot of you know I just finished my Turn Your Someday book project into Starting Now. That was a promotional series. So for quite a long time, that was my priority project, was planning, executing, and following up to that call series. Okay, so that was a project. A project might be beta testing a new program or class that you want to develop and offer. So getting it sufficiently together that you can run it with a group of people, setting a date, running it, gathering data and feedback, those might all be part of your beta test project. Now, what's this priority bit? So I really believe that when we struggle with this sense of overwhelm as business owners, often, even if you're thinking in terms of projects, you may have so many projects that you're holding in your brain that it's funny, when we overload, we tend to actually stop functioning. So with the idea of the priority project is that you've actually looked at a number of different projects where you could focus, and you've made a conscious, deliberate choice about which project you think will have the most significant impact on the growth of your business. So that's the first recommendation I want to make to you as part of our open house today, is what would it be like to start to develop a practice every week of asking yourself to actually commit and name one priority project for the week. Now, I'm not saying you literally can only work on one project the whole week, but I do think there's something powerful about the act of actually naming what that priority project is, and understanding that you will devote most of your discretionary time, your non-appointment, not already committed time, to moving that project forward. So I'd love to hear that. What would it, if you don't already, what would it be like? So some of you may have had a moment of going, well, wait a minute, I'm not sure I do that. Yeah, so what would it be like to actually start to make this a practice? to start thinking in terms of what are the projects, not the actions, and of all the projects, which is the priority right now. So one thing I'm really a big believer in is training the people I work with to keep building that strategic thinking muscle.